Hey guys, today we are working on some things in the kitchen to make part 2 of the menu plan. I did not make any of these recipes, my girls did, so I'm just going to share with a voiceover what they were doing in the videos so you have a full scope of what was done for the month of July. So we forgot to defrost the hamburger, so we're doing the beans in the Instapot. Normally what I would do is I would take the hamburger and I would just push the saute button and saute the hamburger right into the Instapot, and then I'd be adding the ingredients, the beans and everything on top of that and then pressure canning it. But we're doing it separate today and then putting it together at the end.
Okay, so we have our Instapot and we're going to add 1.5 cups each of Great Northern beans, black beans, and pinto beans right into the Instapot.
So now she's using 2 quarts of home canned broth. Another thing you could also use is water, and then she does a little bit more of water. You want to cover the beans by about 2 inches over the top and put it in there for 50 minutes. So these are all made simultaneously. So now she's making a granola here. So in a pot, she is adding a cup of maple syrup or honey. She's using honey here. And then she's going to add 1.5 cups of coconut oil. And then she is just going to add like a teaspoon of salt. And then we do vanilla and cinnamon. You could also do like pumpkin pie spice. You can do any type of spices that you'd like for the season that you're in. And then here, she's going to melt that down. Here in the bowl, she's going to add some oats. So we are going to add 4 cups of oatmeal. So this actually has little oatmeal compared to like other ingredients that it has in it, just for the carb ratio, but it is so yummy. We also could use this as a cereal base. So if we would not be topping on top of, say, yogurt and berries, we might end up putting this, that's the melted ingredients, that's the melted coconut oil, salt, all the seasonings there. So we may eat this on top of, in a bowl with milk or almond milk as a cereal as well. You can mix up everything else really how you want to do it. So she is just going to mix this part, but it's very variable on what you want to put in there. So there she was putting 1 cup of coconut, shredded coconut that is unsweetened, and then she is putting 3 cups of nuts. It can be any type of nuts that you want. We chop ours in the food processor and mix that all up together. So there is actually it wasn't 3 cups of nuts. I'm sorry about that. That was 6 cups of nuts. So there's actually more nuts than there is oats in this recipe, making it a lower carb option. So she's going to mix all of this up. Now you can choose all different types of fruits that you might put in a recipe like this. In the fall, it might be really nice to do extra cinnamon with some apples. In the summer, you might want some like sweet and tart. We had these boxes of raisins that we wanted to use up from the pantry, just from our travels when we were camping last year. We had these little raisins and thought that it would be a great idea just to use them up so we don't waste them. So just using tidbits of whatever you have for fruits. So this time it's just the raisins. You could do dates in there. You could do peach pieces. You can do it home dehydrated, or you could use things that you bought from the store, whatever you want to do for your family. And honestly, that's just however much you want in there. We just kind of stir it around and see what we would like and what our preference is for our own family. I think also it depends on like if you're doing maple syrup versus honey, what flavors you want. Just experiment with it. So we are putting this in our greased cookie sheet, and she is just going to cook this up. So what she ended up doing is she ended up doing this recipe times 2, and then she realized, oh, I need to do this again. I should have told her. I always end up, and that's the recipe that I gave you, was the times 2. I should have just told her that I usually do it times 4, but she was learning and I was in the middle of doing something else, but she did a great job. So she did it twice times 2 to get these full pans. So one of these pans would be this recipe that I just mentioned to you. This other pan here, she did it again, so we had 2 full pans for our pantry. This granola this week did not even last us the whole week, because we ended up using it as like a quote-unquote emergency cereal. Sometimes it does last the whole week, so we will probably be making more of this really soon. And voila! So next up, we are going to make some sloppy joes. So here we have 5 pounds of hamburger. To the 5 pounds of hamburger, I am adding 3 tablespoons of garlic, and then we're sauteing that up. You could also add onion if you wanted to. Once it is cooked, then I'm adding 1 quart of spaghetti sauce. And then I will add 2.5 cups of ketchup. You could use store-bought ketchup or homemade ketchup. So we had actually made some homemade buns for this. I might actually video that. We'll see. I also made some bread that was gluten-free bread, and that turned out okay. I thought that I had my stone pans here, and then I noticed that I didn't have stone pans here, or I didn't think that I had stone pans here. I since have found them. So I was in a pickle looking for the right thing. So I think next week I'll make another one. So as far as this, we are going to be putting 4 tablespoons of brown sugar in, 10 tablespoons of Worcestershire sauce, 5 teaspoons of mustard, 2.5 teaspoons of garlic powder, 1.5 teaspoons of onion powder, and a teaspoon of pepper. This is a really good recipe. I have tried numerous types of recipes, and they've all come just a little bit short. And I think the amount of garlic that we put in this time really is, and the Worcestershire sauce is really what made this really come together. So we cooked this down and then put it in the freezer for later in the week. So my daughter had ground up some hamburger and just cooked the hamburger like this and dumped it into the chili. Like I said before, normally what we do is we would just do it right inside of there and saute with an onion, but we needed to wait a couple more minutes so that we could defrost it. So we did that over there. So she is putting in 2 cans of corn, and chili is so easy just to throw together like last minute because I do it all in one pot normally. So she has the 2 cans, and then she has pints of salsa. So she normally would do, yep, she's doing it. Okay, 2 quarts of salsa. I thought we had them in quarts, so I was wondering why she was using pints. So 4 pints or 2 quarts of the salsa. And our salsa has lots of different ingredients in it, including a lot of different spices. It has zucchini and carrots in it, so it adds lots of vegetables to our chili itself. And so we're gonna stir this up, and then we are adding 2 cans or a can of tomato paste. You can also use tomato powder if you would like, and then you choose how much you want of your chili powder. I prefer it a little spicier. My kids do not, so we only use 1 teaspoon of chili powder for this, and then 1 teaspoon of salt. She might use 1.5 this time. Let's see what she's gonna do. I think she's using a 1/2 teaspoon there. It just depends. It depends on who's making it, how much they'll put in there, and then 1 teaspoon of salt. So that is it. We're gonna stir that up and let those flavors mingle together. That's one thing about chili. I think just like letting it sit for a little bit makes it even more delicious. So even if you put that in the fridge and let the flavors all chill together is awesome. So this is the granola. Doesn't it look beautiful? Oh my goodness, so yummy. So if you've noticed, we have stir fry on our menu. So I have lots of stir fry stuff here. We did chicken with bags of vegetables. I have some, yeah, see it all. Watermelon, yummy, so good. So now we are going to work on making refried beans. So she has 4 cups of pinto beans in there, and she put 1 onion to go with it. Now she's adding 8 cups of stock. So we're using chicken stock here. You could use chicken or beef stock, or if you wanted to, you could even use veggie stock. But if you can possibly add any nutrition to it, then that's what I do with all the foods that I possibly can. She also added 4 cups of water, which is another quart. And then she's going to turn this on and have that cook for 50 minutes. And there are our beans all done. She used pinto beans in there. We usually use pinto beans because they're the cheapest bean for us. So she is going to add 4 teaspoons of chili powder, then 1 teaspoon of cumin, and 1 teaspoon of onion powder, and then a teaspoon of apple cider vinegar. You can take or leave the apple cider vinegar. It gives another dimension, but it also helps with gas. Yep. Sorry, my neighbor's dog is barking, so I'm sorry if you can hear that in the background. Yeah, so yummy. Then we just use a dasher blender to mix this up. So just like a stick blender, and then it's like a 1-pot thing. We would use this to go on tacos. We might use this to go on our big taco bake. Yeah, so it is yummy. Garlic, and more garlic. So good. Oh, I didn't even say that. 6 cloves of garlic. And if you have it, you can add 2 jalapenos in here, or you can add a little bit of cowboy candy in here, which I do sometimes. It just depends on my mood. But today I don't think they did. So you can use a masher like this or a stick blender and mix it all up. And just like that, you are going to have your baked beans done. See how much faster it works with the stick blender. It's just so much nicer. These are really good, really affordable. You do however you want to do. You can use this to make bean burritos. Yeah, just really cheap way to make a filling dish. And it's so much cheaper than the canned stuff. And that is about it. Thanks for joining us today. I hope you have a blessed and wonderful day.